Welcome to VA Disability Compensation. We're going to go over the types of claims. The class is free by VACN, which is VA Claims Navigator Incorporated. Just remind everybody that this is a training for educational purposes. This is not legal advice. We are not acting as accredited VA representatives. VACN is a veteran-led nonprofit committed to strengthening the veteran community through education and guidance. Our mission is to simplify the VA process, providing practical instructions on the VA claims. We are actually going to be broadening this out. We're going to start with VA claims. We're actually going to span it out to all of the VA benefits to help veterans in all 12 different ways that the VA helps us veterans. We really appreciate your support. This is really great for anybody who wants to do your VA claim and you don't want to work with somebody one-on-one. You want to watch videos, maybe you want to work with so this is also anything once we get funded, once we're all the way funded, the profits are then going to go to helping other veterans as far as scholarships, mental health, and continuous ways to support veterans. We're still expanding that. We're also looking for volunteers who want to write. If anybody wants to write an article, we're looking for that. We do plan on having a podcast. So we do have a lot of plans. We just have to grow slowly as it comes. Today, just let everybody know that if you have questions, please, you can put them in the chat or you can write them down. We are not going to take questions until the very end. So please hold your questions. Today, we're going to go under understanding the VA compensation, the requirements, types of service connection, types of claim submission. Then we'll go over some examples. We'll open that with questions. One thing that I really try to get veterans to understand is there is a difference between VA compensation and things like the healthcare and the pension. A lot of times those get very intertwined. They're not the same. The compensation is a monthly tax-free benefit provided to veterans who have some type of medical condition from their military service. So this could be caused by the military service, worsen during your military service, or it could be a secondary to the one that caused it. A quick example would be like if I had a knee injury, it could then cause me to have back pain. This is mental and physical conditions. Once you have that, it opens the door for other benefits as well. One thing I like to help my veterans understand is this is not a handout, this is a benefit. I want to give you a couple analogies because sometimes we feel a little guilty about taking something. A lot of times I'll say, I feel bad for taking something, but it's not taking anything from any veteran. If you think of your military service as a job, if you were at Walmart and you get hurt while you lift boxes, that compensation would go to like a workers' compensation because of the injury caused by the job. It's the same principle with the military. The idea is you were healthy enough to serve, you were injured in some way, or you developed a condition, then you are going to get paid compensation for that loss of function. A lot of times, if we think about it that way, we can understand the difference between a handout. It is actually a benefit. Another analogy that I like to use, this is one that my veteran actually gave me years ago, is if you imagine if you were a car, if you leave the lot in good condition, brand new, it comes back with a flat tire, scratches, then the rental company is going to ask that person who rented the car to cover the cost of making it better or to restore it. The military service is the same way. You entered in a certain health condition and you got out. If you've ever been to a chiropractor, almost every chiropractor will go, wow, I could tell you're a military veteran because of these conditions. It's very familiar. Pretty much all veterans have the same issues. So our bodies take a lot of beatings. It is not just for combat veterans. It is not only for visible or severe disabilities. It is not income-based. It is not automatic. It is not based on whether someone looks disabled. The requirement is service connection. You have to have proof that your military has caused it or worsened it. A couple people in here. The requirements, in order to win your VA claim, you must meet certain requirements. Who here has heard of the Colonza triangle? Has everybody heard? Just raise your hand if you have heard of this. Most people, maybe. This is the idea that the VA says you have to have three things present in order to win your claim. If one of these is missing, you're not going to win your claim. You have to have an in-service event, injury, or illness. There must be some type of evidence. This can include, and definitely not limited to, training injuries, exposure to hazards, stressors, repetitive use, strain, illness documented in service, also credible lay statements when records are missing. So with the secondary, it must be linked to the service connection. We'll go over that in a little bit. You must have a current diagnosis. This is the one a lot of times veterans will often miss, is because they say, I have headaches, I have migraines, but you're not going to the doctor for those. So you don't have a current diagnosis. So you have to have a current diagnosis that needs to be documented. The other thing you need is a link. So this is either a medical professional that links it to your service. It's usually expressed as at least, as likely not. So at least 50% caused by your military. A nexus letter can come from a private doctor, a VA examiner, a specialist opinion. So it's very important to have some type of link to go back to. Most of the time, the VA C&P examiner won't give it. Most of the time, your VA doctor won't get it. They say it's because it's a conflict of interest. This is where your private doctor comes in handy, or your specialist. Link it. Military time, your link or the nexus, and the current issue. That's going to get you your claim. If you have no link, you have no claim. A secondary example would be, I had a right leg injury in the military. Now I have back pain. Your right leg with a nexus statement is going to get you that link. That way you can get rated for your back pain. So you can't say, I have back pain because of my military service. That's going to get denied. If you said, I have back pain because of my leg injury, you put it in the wrong way, then it will get denied. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. There are three requirements to win your claim. There's a proper claim package submission, the claim package itself, which needs to have all of the Colonza triangle, your C&P examination. Now, we're not going to go in depth with the claim package and the C&P examination. This is going to be covered in a different class. We are going to go over proper claim submission. There are different types of service connection. Without the service connection, there is no compensation. Direct service connection. This is something happened to you in the military. You had a knee injury, a back injury from lifting equipment, depression from some type of event, migraines due to that began in the military service. You went and you complained and you got documentation for that. What you need for this, for direct service, means I have proof my military service caused it, is you need the current diagnosis, evidence of an in-service event, a nexus connecting the two. There is also presumptive service connection. If you guys have heard about the PACT Act or TARA, this is that presumptive. This is when it automatically establishes the connection. If you have hypertension due to Agent Orange, asthma because of burn pits, certain cancers, chronic conditions within a 1 year separation. This is really important for anybody who's getting out within that 1 year, is you have 1 year to put a claim in. They're going to presume that it is because of your military service. You must have a qualifying service location or time period. You must have a diagnosis. This is what was getting a lot of people who applied for the PACT Act very frustrated because they were going in and they were putting in for a PACT Act claim. They weren't actually putting in for, I have asthma, I have COPD, I have these conditions. They were just putting in for PACT Act. They had no diagnosis. Then there is a secondary service connection. This is when your service connection leads to a new diagnosis. I have a knee that's rated at 10%. It's causing me hip problems. Now I'm going to go and get my hip because of my knee. Service connected back. I have 20% for my back. Now it's causing me radiculopathy, or that numbness and tingling that goes down my legs. Now I'm going to apply for that. I have service connected PTSD. Now it's causing my sleep apnea. These are those secondaries. Something caused you to have another condition. With this, you already need to have your primary condition rated. You need to have a secondary diagnosis. You need to have that medical evidence that links them. This comes in really handy to that nexus letter. A lot of times you'll hear, I need a nexus letter or a DBQ. Some providers don't want to provide that. So you have to go to a special person or a special doctor that will review everything to give you that. I always want to encourage you to reach out to your primary doctor first before paying another doctor. Then there's an increased rating. This is when you already have service connection, your symptoms are more severe. If your anxiety, you got 30% right now for your anxiety, you're taking now anxiety medication, it's affecting your jobs. Now you're asking the VA, I need you to reevaluate this because I've actually gotten worse. Your back has no longer doing the same range of motion. Your migraines occur more frequently. Anything that has gotten worse, you must have evidence of the worsening effect. You need to have updated medical evidence. So with this, you don't necessarily need a nexus letter. You just need to have proof of it's gotten worse. So going to your C&P exam is really important. Understanding the rating scale is also very important because not everything is rated the same. You have migraines that go 10, 30, and 50. 50 is the max. You have anxiety that will go to 10, 30, 50, 70, and 100. Understanding where you fall in using the CFR is very important because you don't want to try to go for a rating that it's already maxed out. Now, once you know how you need to file, then you need what I would recommend is write out all of the conditions that you want to apply for. So you're like, I want to apply for this. This is my medical issue. That way, it kind of helps you gather everything so that you can put in a very good claim package. Now, claim submission. This does matter a lot because how you submit your claim does matter. Here's benefits delivery at discharge. This is if you are in active duty and you're within that 180, 90 days of separation, you are asking the VA to look over your stuff so that way you can get benefits when you get discharged. You're going to use a 526. This is the type of claim. So this form can be filled out by paper. Here's a part of that paper or online. You're going to be sure that you click BDD if you're doing the 1-year rule after separation. So within that 12-month period, you're going to get back paid until the date of the day after your separation. This is another really important one because if you get out, let's say January 1st, and you put in a claim, you have 1 year to put in a claim for that presumptives. And let's say you put it in, that qualifies for that 1 year, and you're going to get back paid all the way back to January 2nd. So having really those dates are so important because that's considered a presumptive and you have to do it within 1 year. If you try to qualify at January 2nd, they're probably not going to approve of it because it's a 1-year rule. Then there's the standard claim. This is a new condition, okay? So this is going to be on a 526 EZ. This is if you have not this condition before. So if this is a brand new condition, you've never ever filed, you're going to do a 526EZ. Now, if you, let's say you got 30% 3 years ago for your migraines and they've gotten worse, you're going to still put in a 526EZ. The reason why is because you were not denied for the increase. So that's really important. There's the fully claim. So the fully developed claim is probably the best way to do something. For this particular one, this is considered what we call, this would be under the 526 is a new. And this is where you're going to submit everything in one package. It is not a shortcut, but it is so important because you get the fastest decision and you're more likely to win because you're making it so easy for the VA. You're sending them everything that they need to get you into a CMP exam and win your claim. So with this, you're going to want to put in FDC on the same 526EZ form. So paper or online, if you fill it out online, there is an option to choose FDC program or standard claim process. Now, one thing I have not talked about yet is your intent to file. So your intent to file is so important because this allows the VA to know you're going to submit a claim. You don't need to tell them what you're applying for. So you don't need to say, I'm going to apply for migraines. The idea is that you're setting it up and it's going to go back to that date. So let's say that you do an intent to file March 1st. Okay, you're going to say, hey, I plan on submitting it. You then submit your claim October 1st. January, the VA approves the claim. What they're going to do is they're going to approve it all the way back to March 1st, not October 1st. So that is so many more months of benefits that you. So always have this in. What I recommend is if you don't have anything to claim, if you're like, yeah, I don't really have anything to claim, I'm pretty happy where I'm at, put an intent file anyways, and then set up an alarm where you're going to check every 6 months and you're going to say, hey, my intent to file, is 6 months away. Do I have anything? No. Okay. Then do 1 month. See if anything's come. No. Then the day of your intent to file, because now you start a new intent to file. This has helped so many of my veterans get years of back pay, 3 years of back pay, just because of the intent to file and the how long it took for the veteran to win their claim with appeals. So always have this, always have it. Now there's a supplemental. I like to say there's two ways to file a supplemental. The first way we're going to talk about is 1 year of a denial. So you get denied and you're like, no, this is not. I know I can prove this. I know I could get this. So you have to go get new and relevant evidence. So you have to have new and relevant. So this is one way to get it reopened. If you get a low rating, if you were reduced or you denied, you have 1 year to appeal it. And you're going to get the back pay from the original time you submitted your claim. So it's not just a disagreement. You must bring new information to the table. This form is going to be a 20 TAC 0995 form. So this is the appeal. Now the other one is over a year. So let's say that you were denied for sleep apnea years ago. And you're like, I'm going to fight this. I have new. One way to do that is you're going to, they're going to make you put in a supplemental claim, even though it's been over a year. So you're not going to get the back pay, unfortunately. I know that really is a bummer, but it would go back to an intent to file if you had an intent to file, but you're not going to go get any more than that year. Again, you must have new information, and this is going to be a 0995. Now, if you submitted the claim the wrong way, you cannot appeal it. Examples, if you list migraines as direct service condition, but they're actually secondary to your tinnitus, you have to do a 526 EZ because they're not direct service, they are a secondary. So when a condition is filed under the wrong theory, direct or secondary, the VA may deny it, and the appeal will only address how it was originally filed, the new way that it needs to be filed. If a condition could be both, then you can apply for it both ways and submit it under both theories. The next type of appeal is a high level review. So this is basically asking a more senior reviewer to re-look at everything. This is a second look at the same exact evidence. This is why fully developed claims are so important and ensuring that you're putting in a really good claim package. You believe that the VA made an error, you're going to write a letter basically to argue your case. It does not allow new evidence, and you cannot add any documentation outside of your. For this, you're going to file a 20 tax 0996. Now, on this form, it's going to ask, hey, do you want to speak to somebody? It's usually like a 10-15 minute phone conversation. When it's over, they're going to hang up on you. It could take a little bit longer. However, I highly recommend that you do this actually. We've been seeing so much better results when clients are getting on the phone and arguing their case, because the reality is some of these reviewers may not really take a good look at the page, or they just don't have time. So what's a better way to get them on the phone, really share the information? But it's really important that you just don't say, just because you feel like you deserve it. You have to use the law, the VA law, and you have to look back at everything you submitted to point them to why you proved you had submitted everything to get the rating you deserve. So these are really, really important. The other way is a appeal. Let's say you a supplemental, you did the HLR, it's not getting anywhere. You could always do another supplemental. You can continue to do supplementals forever if you wanted to. But let's just say like it is just not going anywhere. This would come into that Board of Appeals. So it's a formal appeal to the veteran law judge. This is used when lower level reviews did not solve an issue. It's not quick. It's years in the making. It's not informal. And it requires a very strong strategy and documentation. This form is a VA form 10182. Now, I highly think that with the right evidence and going in there prepared, you're able to win the claim before going to boards of appeals. I've worked with several who we put a different claim, a supplemental, and we won it. And their board of appeal was actually because they did win. But this is there and you're not getting anything. So I'm going to go over some examples here. And I'll give you guys a few minutes to type in your answer. If anybody wants to jump on, you can do that as well. We have veteran Staff Sergeant Martinez. She separated in 2016, and she's given currently a 70% combined rating. She's already service-connected depression at 50%, lumbar strain at 20%, and tinnitus at 10%. Condition number 1 has worsened. Condition number 2, sleep apnea, recently diagnosed due to her depression, but never applied. So, which ways should she apply for condition number 1 and condition number 2? Anybody want to give a guess or type it up? The answer is condition number 1, she's going to do a 526 EZ for an increase with evidence. For a condition number 2, it's going to be a 526 EZ. It is going to be applied secondary to her PTSD with a nexus letter and the required evidence. Condition number 2 does require a lot more than just some evidence of her depression getting worse. Another example is Gunnery Sergeant Jackson. He was separated in 2005. He retired with 20 years and deployed to OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Currently not rated at all. Migraines from PTSD, denied in the past. Condition number 2, rhinitis under the PACT Act. Condition number 3, back radiculopathy, denied in the past. Condition number 4, PTSD. Anybody have an idea? This one's a little bit more complex.
I would start with the PTSD first.
Start with
That
PTSD
way,
first.
do a secondary for his migraines.
Anybody else want to add anything else? So, condition number one, migraines from PTSD denied in the past. Now, this one, we're either going to file 526 easy if it was not claimed as a secondary, or we're going to do supplemental if it was claimed secondary to PTSD. Most of the time, veterans don't know, to be honest, on how to claim secondaries. More than likely, this person probably would do a 526 easy. Condition number two is going to be a 526 easy. Now, this is under the PACT Act, so this is going to be considered presumptive. As long as he has that diagnosis and can prove that he was in Iraq, then he'll be able to get that one. Condition number three, this one was denied in the past, so we would do a supplemental. And condition number four, since he never applied for this, would be a 526 EZ. Now, we could go ahead and put all of these conditions in at one time. More than likely, what the VA is going to come back and do is they're going to say, we're going to defer the migraines because they are secondary and we don't have PTSD rated yet. They could also come back and deny it as well. Either knowing that because we have to get one of them, the PTSD, diagnosed and rated first, then we're going to come back to the migraines if it does get denied. But I've seen both. I've seen it get deferred and I've seen it get denied. Just knowing that kind of helps put us at ease, going, this might come back this way. I can always go back and argue it later. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up. If anybody has questions about what we went over today, does anybody have any questions about the things that we reviewed today? If you do, you can just unmute yourself. Awesome. So Evan said, I got a letter saying that the VA is refunding the funding fee on the VA home loan. That is so fantastic. Congratulations. I'm super, super excited for you. 2.5 years of back pay. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Ash, I have a question. You remember 7 years ago when I submitted for my GERD claim? So, I was denied. Then I did the HLR and I got approved. But when they did the approval, I submitted that claim before the GERD stuff changed. Yet when it came back after I did my HLR, they actually rated me under the new and under the old, even though I submitted before the ratings had changed. Is it even worth me doing anything to try and get the higher rating on it?
I
Or will
would.
they just
I would start with a supplemental. So I would get I'd get everything from the initial time you went to the time that it changed, get the law, write the law, because we might be able to do an HLR because you're not arguing the GERD approval, you're arguing the start date. I'd start with the supplemental. I'd get everything, do the highlights, everything that we've talked about in the past. Here's the law. It states that because I submitted it before the change of date, that it should be, and put it that way and see if that works. If not, then try for the HLR. So they'll let you do the HLR because again, you're not arguing that you get your rating or you get denied. You're arguing the start date of it.
I could still do an HLR even though I had to do an HLR to get approved?
You should still be able to because you're arguing the date, not you're not arguing the same thing.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah. Great question.
Right.
Very good. Anybody else have any questions about this particular thing? So what you guys are going to do is after this, oh my goodness. Thank you for joining class. You're going to receive an email with some helpful tips, links. You are able to sign up for the VACN course, opportunity for the class recordings and handouts, schedule one-on-one sessions. This is outside of VACN. So VACN is only designed for groups, course like online courses, hands off on us. You're not going to have that one-on-one. There is a way to do one-on-one if that's what you like. You could always donate. We will also be sending you information on our next free training. So we're going to have these free trainings every week. Just a reminder that this training is for educational purposes and is not any legal advice.